Hi everyone, and welcome to my sewing room. I'm Rosemary, and this is Enchanting Rosemary Sewing and Embroidery. Okay, so we're back. How do you like my Missouri Star t-shirt? I bought this when we went to Hamilton, Missouri. I thought it was a really fun t-shirt. Anyway, today what I wanted to do was I wanted to get back to basics again on PE Design 11. We've done a lot of different things with PE Design 11, and I kind of just jump around and do different projects and that sort of thing. And I started thinking that maybe I need to get right down to basics. I need to teach you how I do it when I teach it in class in the store. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to just open up the software and start with something as simple as shapes. I also have a confession to make. I went back and I looked at some of my previous videos, and I did a video on lettering probably last year sometime, and I was watching it and it is just awful. I don't want to take it off the website, but I want to do a little bit better with the lettering. So we are going to start with the most basic part of how to do shapes and stuff, and then we'll go from there. And hopefully if you have PE Design 11, you'll learn a lot of neat things that you can do with your software. It's a great software program. So let's go to the computer and let's see what we can do. Okay, so we're going to do this right from the very first step. So once you install your PE Design 11, you should have an icon on your screen that says PE Design 11. So we're going to double click on that, and it's going to open the software. And when the software first comes open, you get this, and it says, how do you want to produce embroidery? And there's a whole lot of different options that you can push right here. You can go straight to your design center, you can go straight to layout and editing, and you can go straight to design database. I usually just close this unless I'm trying to go to design database. But you'll notice up here there's an instruction manual as well that you can go to if you want to do that, and set your hoop size and fabric. So I'm just going to close this so that this is our main page right here. And I have to get rid of that anyway. So this is the way it opens the first time you open it up. And this is your hoop size, and it defaults to 4x4. If you have a 1750 or an 1850 or even an older 900D or one of those, you want to leave it at 4x4 because you can't do anything bigger than that. So you don't want to mess with it and put too big of a hoop in there. But if we want to change our hoop, we're going to go over here and see the flower up here in the corner. We're going to hit that. And then if you come down here, you have your design settings. So I'm going to click on design settings, and I'm going to tell it what size hoop I want it to be. Now you'll notice up here you have the sewing machine and the 10 needle. So if you choose the 10 needle, you'll get 10 needle hoops. If you choose the sewing machine, you'll get sewing machine hoops. And I can put this, because I have the Stellaire, as big as the 9.5 by 14. I can do the 9.5 by 9.5, which is the square hoop, which I like to use a whole lot. Let's just use that one. You can also do a custom size, which will allow you to change the size of the hoop and actually do a split photo design, which we could do in the future. I'm going to try and just keep this to the most basic stuff. So let's just do the hoop size. Here is your page color. I like my page color to be white. If it's not white, like for instance, if I'm going to embroider on a black t-shirt, I could slide this up until I find black, and I could change the back black. Especially if I'm doing snowmen or something that's primarily white, I want to see what I'm doing, so I'll change it to another color. But most of the time, I just like it to be white. So we're going to leave it white. This is your background color, which is basically anything around the outside of the hoop. I hate that gray that it defaults to, so I usually just pick a blue or something. Whatever you like to look at, just make it a color that you like. And then we're just going to say, okay, and then your workspace will change. So the other part is, this is your sewing order. Every time you put a design up here, it's going to show you the sewing order. This one over here is going to have your import, your color, your text attributes and your sewing attributes. So these are really important once we start creating embroideries. Up here we have our home tab. This is where our text and our shapes are at, and a lot of the tools like how to make an applique and arrange your shapes or your text. So, and then this is your import patterns. And then when we go to create embroidery, we're going to go, you always go into image. So you can do auto punch your photos. View is always going to give you a view. So one of the neat things about PE Design 11 is that we can do realistic and continue to work in realistic. So that's what I have it chosen right now, but I'll switch it back so you can see. If I click on this sewing order, you'll notice that that sequence disappears. And I'm going to click on it again and bring it back. This is the stitch simulator, which is down here. The stitch simulator will allow you to see how your design is going to stitch out. You can turn that off as well as turning off your attributes and a lot of other things. So this is if something disappears, this is where you go and turn it back on again. I am going to go home. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a design in. So if I hit import pattern, I can go to from design library. Design library is the designs that Brother gives you for free. And you'll notice over here, they have categories. So there's a floral category, a lace and ribbon category, a quilt category. There's all different ones in here. Let's just go to floral 4. Actually, I got to remember which, it has several florals. It has borders and buttonholes. Let me do floral 1. Let's go to floral 2. And now let's go to floral 3. Okay, so this is the one I want. This has some really pretty flowers and I like to use them a lot. But let's just do this birthday 10 LPES. So I'm going to click on it. And once I click on it, I come down here and I hit import. And it will appear on my screen here. Now, if I want to change the size of this, I can grab it and pull on it. If we go all the way down here to the bottom of the screen, see how it says width is 7.75 inches, height is 3. No, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. 3.75 inches by 3.84 inches. There's 9,625 stitches in this. And then it actually tells you how to change your size. Hold down the control key while scaling to maintain density. So if I come up here and I put my mouse, I get the double arrow when I put it over the side square. I'm going to push my control key on my keyboard. And when I push the control key, you'll notice I get a little box that has zigzags on it right next to my mouse. So my mouse actually changes. So now I'm going to hold the shift key and pull. And as I pull on it, now I have 16,862 stitches. So not only did it make it bigger, but it changed my stitch count. So it has adjusted to the size. Now, keep in mind, even if you hold the control key down, if you make this too small, the stitch count changes. Now I only have 6,993. But let's face it, that little tiny embroidery with all of that going on, I'm going to come up here where the plus sign is right here. That's going to magnify. If I want to magnify, I left click and drag a square and let go, and it comes up close. There's way too much going on for something this small. It's not going to size well. So don't make something overly too smaller than it was originally, unless it's a really basic little design that has almost nothing to it. So let's go back to, whenever I have the magnifying glass, see the mouse turn to a magnifying glass, it's going to continue to magnify. So if I come back over here and hit select, my mouse changes back to the arrow. So now I have I can select and I can move things and drag them and do whatever I need to do with it. Okay, so I am going to come over here, and if I click on this down arrow, I have not only my design library, but I have some tutorials, decorative patterns, and outline shapes. I'm going to click an outline shape, and I'm going to just choose, let's see, let's do hobbies, and let's do these scissors. So I'm going to pull the scissors over here. This is a really simple little shape. I can do basically whatever I want with it. I can pull it big, I can pull it small. I do not have to hold the control button down when I change these shapes because they're created in the software. These flowers are not. They're an actual embroidered PES design. This is just a shape in the software, so I can do whatever I want with it, and it won't make any difference. It'll adjust automatically for the stitches that are in it. Like this has 1,353 stitches in it. I pull it down, it changed it to 482, and I didn't have to hold the control key down. So those shapes are pretty much fun. And because they're just a shape and they're not an embroidery, I can come up here to the shapes menu and I can change the fill to anything I want it to be. I can tell this that I want it to do a running stitch and I don't want it to sew. And now I just have an outline running stitch of that. Think about what you could do with that shape. You could make it into a quilt stitch if you wanted to. So that would be really fun to do that. I'm going to hit the delete on my keyboard and make that disappear. And then I'm going to go back into, let's go back up here to the design library. So we're actually looking at embroidery designs. And I'm going to choose this one, which is carnations. It just came in over here. This design is mostly satin stitches. So if I hold the control key down on this one, and I left click and drag it down, it probably would sew out pretty good if I made it smaller, but sew it on a piece of scrap first. Just see what's going to happen to it when you do something like that. Okay, so now I'm coming back over here to this. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hold the control key down, and I'm going to drag it. Whoops. Control. Let's drag it up bigger. Come over here to the magnifying glasses, and if you hit this down arrow, you have some options. Select object to zoom one-on-one or zoom all. I'm going to click zoom all. And as long as it says zoom all there, all I have to do is click that and it'll always zoom back to what it was. So let's hit control, left click, and let's make it bigger. So I've made these flowers pretty big. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to just take part of this out. I could, while it's selected, I could come over here to stitches and convert to outline, which would break it up by into shapes. I could convert to block, and I could divide by color, but I'm not going to do any of those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, it moved. Okay, I'm going to hit stitches, and right here there's a thing that says split stitches. It's a pair of scissors. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click around this flower. So I'm going to do click, left 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 click, and then double left click. When I double click it, it puts black boxes around it and takes it away. I just cut that flower out of this design. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to hit the delete key on my keyboard. And now I just have the flower. So now I'm going to zoom up close to it. This kind of got messed up by me making it smaller and bigger and smaller and bigger. It looks pretty bad. I'm gonna delete it. Hit select, delete. Okay, so let's go back up here and do this again. Let's bring it in, and then let's slide up a little bit. Okay, so here's my flower. So let's do this again. That looks a whole lot better. So I'm going to hit stitches, split stitches. I'm going to left click, 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 left click. Whoops. And then I'm going to double click. Okay, so let's select this part, hit delete on your keyboard. Now we have this flower. That's much better. I like that one a lot more. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do something with this flower. While I've got it selected, I can again go over here to stitches, and I can divide by color, and that would take, it would divide it up so that I could take the green out and just delete it by selecting it here, and then it would take the green out. I could do it that way if I wanted to. But another thing that I can do is, if I use my zoom key, come so I'm really close to this. Now I'm going to come back over here to the select button, hit this little down arrow, and see this little button right here? This is going to add little squares to this when I click on it. These are stitch by stitch, the way you would remove something. So if I wanted to just take out the green, some of the green, not all of it, I'm going to select the black and I'm going to hit the delete key on my keyboard. And see the way it takes, it just popped over here. See, it's over here. I'm going to just keep hitting delete until it's gone. And if I look over here, I can see that that is disappearing as I push it. I'm going to keep hitting the delete key one at a time. And I could hold the delete key down and it would go really fast, but I don't want to do that because you won't be able to see it. But you can see how that green is disappearing. And now over here, I no longer have green in my sequence. So I know that I got rid of the green completely. So I can do it that way if I want to. So I'm going to hit zoom all. I'm going to come back to the selector button. And then I'm going to zoom so I can see my flower. So this is my flower that I have. Now another thing I can do, I'm going to select it, is I can change the color. So if I come over here, this is my design library. This is my color tab right here. If I hit the color tab, suddenly I have some different color choices over here. If I come up here to where it says stitches, you'll notice if I don't have it selected, the stitches tab is gone. It disappears. When I select the flower, it comes back. So I want to hit the stitches tab, and I have a color change button right here. So I'm going to hit that, and now I can come over here and I can change the color of any of the flower that I want to do. I need to select just one part though. What am I doing here? This just says change color. Let's go off of here. Let's just choose the purple, and let's make it really obviously a different color. Now it's blue. I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to make that part blue. And I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to make it. So now I just changed all the colors of my flower, just that easy. Let's go over here. Let's make it dark purple, light purple. Let's make this like yellow. Okay, so you can see how easy it is to change the colors. I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to select this again and get my colors to pop back up. See right here where it says Brother Embroidery? Come down. If you have PE Design 11, you have Floriani as a choice. It's the first, PE Design 11 is the first one that's had Floriani. But you have Gutermann, Isacord, Romans and Anton, Madeira, Sulky, any of those, whatever you have, you can switch it. I personally, even though I sew mostly with Floriani, I choose Brother Embroidery because they only have about 60 colors and it doesn't get confusing. If you hit Isacord polyester, now look at all the colors they have. So if you're going to be really particular about your color changes, then yeah, that's the way to do it. But I don't want to worry about picking purple when I'm looking for purple. And then when I get it to the machine, I'll put whatever color I want in there. So I'm just going to say Brother Embroidery. And then I'm going to change the color to the color I want. And these are the 3 colors I've already got in my design. So if I need to go back and find one I've already got in my design, I can pick it right there really easily. So that's kind of a fun thing you can do with changing colors. I am going to say zoom all so I can move out. I'm going to make sure that I have the flower selected. Now I'm going to come up here and see where it says arrange copy. I'm going to click the down arrow. And I have several different options here. I can do a 4-way mirror copy. When I move my mouse, suddenly I have 4 flowers instead of 1. I can also do a circle copy. When I hit circle copy, I get this box here. I'm going to tell it to put the flowers right on the circle. And then I'm going to say spacing, and then I'm going to click on here, and then I'm going to click here. That did not work. Let me do this again. Undo is your friend. Undo. Undo. Click on it. Arrange copy. Circle copy. Number. Let's just make it 6. Let's make it 9. And then I'm going to click up here. That's what I forgot. You left click and drag. And as you left click and drag, you get a circle. And then when you let go, see how many I've got in there? I can move them around until it looks good and then left click again. And now there's my flowers in a circle. And you'll notice that over here, it automatically shifted it. So all the dark purples together, all the pink is together, and all the yellow is together, except for, I don't know why this one. I'm going to left click and say select objects and see. I'm going to hit delete. Yeah, I don't know why that one did that, but here's all your circles and everything here. So that looks pretty. Isn't that fun? And I'll tell you something that you can do. I'm going to drag around all of this and I'm going to hit delete. Okay, so we have a clean screen now. And what I want to do is we talked about how to take apart a design, but let's just play with the shapes menu that's in here a little bit. So if I click the down arrow on the shapes menu, you have all these little shapes that you can play with, that you can do something with. If I choose a heart and I left click and drag, that heart gets bigger, but you'll notice I can make it this way. I can make it this way. So I need to hold down the control. No, wait, let's see. Hold down the shift button. And then it gets bigger and smaller, but it doesn't change it doesn't distort the shape. It makes it the shape that I want it. Turn that off. Okay. So I'm going to hit delete and I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to choose a star. Let's see. Let's just do this regular 5. And I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to draw and I get a perfect star. Now, the reason it's just an outline is because the last shape I did, I changed to an outline and it remembers what was the last thing I did. So When you let go of your star and you've created it, it jumps from the home to the shapes, the one that goes away when you don't have anything selected. Select it again. I have to get right on my outline. It comes back and it comes to here. This top part here is my color spool and what kind of stitch I have. The bottom part is my fill. Right now my fill says nothing filled. So I can click on that and I can say, let's just fill it with a fill. I can click on this and say, don't sew it. So now my star doesn't have an outline. Or I could say, make it a zigzag stitch, and then it has a zigzag stitch. The outline color is determined here. So if I click on that, I get this little brother embroidery, but I can say show color palette. I can come over here. I also have the option of the line or the region. So if I'm going to change the line color to orange, see the way it changed? The region color to brown, it changed. So I can change the shape and the fill. So I am going to drag this a little bigger even. And I'm going to say, I want this to have a programmable fill. The programmable fill is the fills that you have that are different than just the basic fill. Once I change that to a programmable fill, I'm going to go back over here to this box. I have my sewing attributes. I'm going to click my sewing attributes and I can change my zigzag width here. I can change my density here. I can change how the corners are either sharp or not sharp. If I scroll down, I have a menu that says programmable fill here. If I don't have programmable fill here, it's not going to be available here. It's going to go away. But if I click this little file that's right here, click on it, see all these different fills I can do. And in a future lesson, I'll show you how to create those fills, which is kind of fun to do. But let's just do stars. Why not? We'll do stars. And then it will take a minute for it to change. And then it should have little stars in there. Let's go to home, magnifying glass, and get up close. See, those didn't come out all that good because it's kind of like embedded in there. Maybe if we change the direction, those stars look a little bit better. They actually look more like stars. So isn't that cool? You can do that. So most of the time when I use a programmable fill, I do something like this one or this one and say, okay, and see how pretty that is. So you can do some different kinds of fills as long as it says programmable fill. Now, if I go up to my shapes menu and I hit that and I change it to motif fill, it's going to do it kind of like an open lacy effect stitch. It never fills in. It just does a running stitch, almost like the stitches that are in your sewing machine. Oops, I accidentally just zoomed in on that. So let's just hit undo. Whoops. Okay. Hit zoom all. Hit motif stitch. Sometimes I hate these touch screens. They're so sensitive. I'm going to make sure I have my selector key. I'm going to go home. I'm going to hit zoom and come up here so I can see a little bit better what I'm doing here. Okay, now I'm going to make sure I get my selector key again so I'm not in zoom anymore. Okay, so now all of a sudden the programmable fill is gone and the motif pattern is there instead. It says motif pattern 1 only, and I can click on this and open a menu of motifs and decide what my motif is going to be. Say okay. I can change how big it is. Since I only changed the top one, it got kind of tall and skinny. Let's change this one. And you can see down here, it gives you a little sample of what you're doing. Let's make them both the same, 69 and 69. Let's see what happens. Voila, I have a different fill. So also it says pattern 1 only. we can actually tell it to do pattern 1 and 2. It gives you 2 patterns here. We'll scroll down. Here's the second one. Let's make the second one a Christmas tree. See, so now I have 2 patterns in there if I want to. I can change how it lines it up, and I can change how far offset they are as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with your motif fills. You can also, I'm going to go to my shapes menu. I'm going to tell this to go back to a fill stitch, and I'm going to tell the top one to be a motif stitch. And then I've got a motif going around here. So that's not very attractive, but if I go here and let's see, you'll notice the color change up here. This is all in kind of a beige and this is in a blue. So the beige part up here is the outline. This down here is my fill. So I'm going to be up here in the line, and it says line sew right here. In the line sew, I'm going to hit this, and I am going to look for this and say okay. So those are like little candle wicking stitches, isn't it? And that's kind of fun to put around the outside. So you just kind of have to see what you end up with as you play around with the different fills and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say do not sew the outline. We just have a shape. I'm going to go home and I'm going to say zoom all. I just realized that's not what I meant to do. Okay, I'm going to go into the shapes menu, and I'm going to actually tell this to do a running stitch. And I'm going to say do not sew on the fill. That's what I wanted to do. So now I'm back to just a running stitch outline. And what I wanted to show you that you can do with your shapes is you can use that tool that I had a minute ago that says arrange copy and do the 4-way mirror copy and come out here until I have 4 of them. I'm going to keep moving my mouse over until they kind of line up. And then I'm going to click. And now I've got 4 of them. And then I'm going to, while they're still selected, I'm going to hit arrange copy again. And I'm going to do 4-way mirror. And now I have let's move out here, hit the minus sign. Now look how many I have. I have a whole bunch, and they mirror image the star, so these turned. If I was really picky and I wanted to make sure each one of them, I can select each one separately. Because I don't have a fill in it, it's kind of hard to get right on it and select it. It can get frustrating sometimes. Let's do the selector key. I can select just one. And then if I go over to arrange, rotate, flip, let's see if I flip it. I can flip each one of them and get them exactly the way I want. Rotate, flip, rotate right. So now they're straight. So you could do it that way too. But isn't that a fun kind of way to do quilting? You can also select each one separately and move them and just kind of put them wherever you want them to be, like this. And you could do some fun quilting with it that way. So that's kind of a fun thing that you can do. So let's go to zoom all, and let's just do new. And we're not going to save any of that, so I'm just going to do a new page. So I have a new page, all that is gone, and we can start over again. I am going to go into the shapes tool, and I'm going to choose just a regular old box. I'm going to left click and drag until I've created a whole box. And there, we didn't have any stitches in it the last time, so there still isn't any stitches in it. So if I click this, and I come down here, I can actually tell it that I want it to do a stippling stitch and do stippling all over the top of that. I can also go in here and go home, pick a shape. Let's do this star right here. No, let's do this star. I'm going to draw the star like this, right in the center. And I'm going to tell it to do a fill stitch. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to click on, hold my control button down and click on that one, so they're both selected. And I can tell that they're all selected because one, look here, there's blue boxes around all of that. And the other way is if I look in here, well, that doesn't help. Anyway, these are, I know that they're both selected when I select this one and hold the control down and select that one. There's blue boxes around the whole thing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit modify overlap, and then I'm going to say remove overlap. And it cut a hole. See, in this fill right here, there's a hole there now. So now if I go up here to the shapes menu, I'm going to deselect and select the center one again. And I'm going to tell it that I don't want it to do a fill anymore, not sewn. So now look at that. I've got stippling around the outside and I've got a star on the inside. And I could take that star and I could right click and I want to get this one here. So I'm going to click on it and right click and select objects. So now, nope, they're both selected. What am I trying to do here? Oh, I know. Hit the plus sign. Hit the plus sign and then come down here and just select this one, not these two. And we're going to right click and select objects. Okay, that's more what I was trying to do. And then I'm going to hit the control button and the D letter. That duplicated that star in the center. So we're going to move it over so it's right on top of that one. And then we're going to change the size. Now, if I just drag this, it's going to go like that. That's not what I want. So let's undo. I'm going to put my mouse there. I'm going to hold the shift key down and then I'm going to drag, and you'll see the way it drags from the center. Oh, makes a liar out of me. Undo. Right click, select objects, hold the shift key down, pull so it goes towards the center, let go. Now it worked. So I could actually duplicate this again, Control D, that duplicated again. Now I'm going to undo that. I'm going to show you something else you can do. Instead of doing Control D, we're going to select it and we're going to right click and we're going to copy. And then come over here and click and then right click and paste. Now there's two of them there. And if you open this up, you can see there's more of them in here. But they're right on top of each other, which makes it work a whole lot better. So I'm going to pick the last one and select objects. And then I'm going to grab it, hold down my shift key, and drag it in. And now I just made another one. So now I've kind of created my own quilting pattern. If I select the outside stippling part, you'll notice in the sewing attributes you have a run pitch, which is how your stitch length. We don't want to mess with our stitch length. We want that to stay the same. But maybe we want our spacing to be different. So let's move the spacing. Give it a second to change. That's a little bit better stippling, isn't it? So there's some different things you can do with that. I think that's where we're going to stop. I also have a video in my video collection that talks a lot about fonts, but we'll go back and we'll play with fonts a little bit more, and then we'll go into Design Center. Okay, I think that's a really good place to stop for right now. We'll come back probably in a week and I'll try and teach you a little bit more about how to do the lettering and how to do fills with it. I hope you like the changes I've done. I have the new camera and I have a new microphone, and I'm hoping that's going to work better. Obviously, I'm not real savvy about that sort of thing, but I'm trying to learn to make the videos just a little bit better. So make a comment if you think that there's been some improvement on it. If you are watching this right away when it first comes out, this is November, and this week is actually Thanksgiving. So I hope you have a really great Thanksgiving, and I will probably see you in about a week. Bye-bye.